Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer, so now let's talk silver. Folks, this is probably going to be one of the most important videos I post on my channel. By the end of this video, I guarantee you will fully understand the true value of silver and why we invest into it. A lot of people hopped on the silver train because they saw their friend doing so. But after this video, after we break down these two articles, you will finally get it. I hope you stick all the way through because both of these are very, very well put together. Some of the best articles I've read in a long, long time. Now, before we jump into these very important articles, I wanted to mention that I'm doing some giveaways. First one is coming up very soon. All you gotta do is click one button, and that is subscribe, as we are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. And with that said, let's talk silver. Could the silver price really hit $100 per ounce? And he actually goes into saying it could hit $1,000 per ounce. And we're talking about Keith Neumeyer from First Majestic Silver, one of the most important figures alongside Ted Butler, David Morgan, people like that have been exposing not only the facade of the COMEX and the exposure of the dollar collapsing, but also silver's true value and the shortage itself. So what's in store for silver in the future? Keith Neumeyer of First Majestic Silver has said he sees the white metal reaching $100 per ounce. The silver price was made in waves in 2020 when it rose to above $20 per ounce for the first time in 4 years. Actually, since 2016, I remember the July 2016 high of $20 silver we celebrated, and it's insane to think about. And actually, over the last decade, the average price of silver has been $15. So if you're a new stacker and you see $25 silver, you're spoiled to think that that's a low price. So, anyways, we see $20 silver for the first time in 4 years, and the precious metal has largely stayed above that level since, even passing the $26 mark in May of this year. Nonetheless, the well-known figure, Keith Neumeyer, CEO of First Majestic Silver, has frequently said he believes the white metal could climb even higher, reaching into triple digits. Now, we've all talked about triple-digit silver. I say by the year 2025, 2026. Some people say a lot sooner. Some people call me a silver pumper, even though those people are saying that silver is going to hit $1,000 in a couple of months. That is not realistic, and if that did happen, there would be a huge correction, just like Bitcoin in 2016, 2017. There has to be price stability built, unless there is a global reset and something happened to a very, very, very catastrophic geopolitical type of change. Regardless, though, no, silver's not going to hit $1,000 in a couple of months, and we wouldn't want it to do that. I want silver to stay cheap as long as possible so I can buy it and stack up as much as I can for as cheap as possible. So anyways, Neumeyer has voiced this opinion often, most recently discussing in August of 2022, an interview with Wall Street Silver. He put up a $100.30 price target in November 2017 interview with Palisade Radio, and has reiterated his triple-digit silver price forecast in multiple interviews with Kitco in March 2018 at the top of 2020 and May 2021 and March 2022, the latest in March of 2023. So he's talked about triple-digit silver multiple times. He's even talked about quadruple-digit silver. Now, Ted Butler actually said something, and I tried to find this piece of information. It's hard to find since there's so much from these, Ted Butler and these guys. But Ted Butler said, think of the highest price of silver you think it could possibly go and multiply that times 100, and that's where silver could sit, right? Silver's true price is priceless. You cannot compare fake money to real money. And that's the point of this video. That's why I put the title of this video the way I did, is because no amount of fake money that's depreciating in value and purchasing power could equal something that holds its value. 1 ounce of silver is always going to have 1 ounce of silver inside of it, regardless of who says what that ounce is worth. But a dollar bill changes daily, every single day, and it's lost 98% of its purchasing power. So you can see why those two cannot be comparable. So why is Neumeyer calling for $100 silver? Now here's the meat and potatoes of this article, at least. There's a significant distance for silver to go before it reaches the success Neumeyer has boldly predicted. And I'm glad that they mentioned that. I'm glad they're not saying that, yeah, in a couple of months silver is going to be $500, because that's misleading, and that will put the potential stacker or the potential buyer in a very dangerous situation, impulsively buying, spending 75% of your paycheck on silver when you can sit back and relax a little bit. Not saying too much, because times are changing, but it's not going to happen in a couple of months, folks. And you wouldn't want it to either, for several different reasons. So, anyways, there's a significant distance for silver to go before it reaches the success that Neumeyer has boldly predicted. In fact, in order for the precious metal to jump to $100, its price would have to increase from its current value by more than 350%. Neumeyer expects a triple-digit silver price, in part because he believes the current market cycle can be compared to the year 2000, when investors were sailing high on the dot-com bubble and the mining sector was down. He thinks it's only a matter of time before the market corrects, like it did in 2001 and in 2002. And commodities seeing a big rebound in pricing. It was during this time that Neumeyer himself invested heavily in mining stocks and came out on top. And he says, and I quote, "I've been calling for triple-digit silver for years now, and I'm more enthused now than ever." And same here. And even Andy Schectman, right? And by the way, if you wanted to buy silver, I recommend buying through Andy Schectman. He's friends with Keith Neumeyer. He could actually get me an interview with Keith Neumeyer himself. He got me one with David Morgan a couple months ago. Just send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. It's in the description or the pinned comment. Let him know I sent you. But regardless, Andy said he's been in business for 35 plus years, and he's never seen things this scary. He's never seen it like this, and he's never seen this type of buying before. That should say something. That should say a lot, right? That speaks for itself. Now, he says he's cautiously enthused because, I thought it would have happened sooner than it currently is. And yes, on paper, silver should be quadruple digits right now, but that's not the reality we live in because of price suppression, manipulation, and price rigging, which we're not going to get into. Ted Butler goes brilliantly into the COMEX facade and why the silver price is manipulated so heavily, or how it is, and why sometime sooner than later this will all come tumbling down and silver's true price will shine. So in August of 2022, with Wall Street Silver, he reiterated that his support for triple-digit silver, and he said, fortunately, not alone in this optimistic view. In fact, he's been surpassed in that optimism. I actually saw someone the other day call for $500 silver. He said, I'm not quite sure I'm at that level. Give me $50 first and we'll see what happens after that. And yeah, the $50 is a psychological level since that's what we hit in 1980 and in 2011. So I think once it broke past 50, we would see 100 very, very shortly after that, then probably correct back down to $75 or $80 for a while. Regardless, though, we are going to see these numbers. It's not an if, it's just a when. Just like the dollar collapsing, it's not an if, it's just a when. He pointed out that subtracting net investments in silver exchange traded products, which are also called ETPs, leaves the market in a deficit, and also questioned the methodology behind the Institute's recycling data, given that the most recycled silver metal comes from privately owned smelters and refiners that typically don't make those figures public. And that's a good point that I don't think a lot of people realize. I really don't think so. Poured silver is a huge category. Huge. I'm guessing that the mining sector produced something in the order of 800, maybe 825 million ounces in 2022, Neumeyer said, giving a fourth quarter of 2022 overview for his company. And remember, 2022, we saw record-breaking supply deficits. That was the biggest gap from a low supply of silver and a high demand. That was the biggest gap ever, and it's only going to keep growing. That gap is only going to keep getting wider. So he says the consumption numbers look like they're somewhere between 1.2 to 1.4 billion ounces due to all the great technologies and all the new fangled gadgets that we're consuming with EVs, solar panels, windmills, you name it. All these technologies require silver, and that's a pretty big supply deficit. We're talking hundreds of millions of ounces in the red. Where's that silver going to magically come from, especially since we're going to need more silver as we produce more EVs? Neumeyer's March 2023 triple-digit silver call is a long-term call. I'm glad they said that as well. He explained that while he believes gold will break past $3,000 this year, he thinks silver will only reach $30 in 2023. However, once the gold to silver ratio is that unbalanced, he believes that silver will begin to take off. It just needs a catalyst, and there are several catalysts that could do that. Silver is gold's little brother. It is riskier, but it's also silver is gold on steroids. So that catalyst could be the 2024 election. It could be the Ukraine war. It could be a number of things. Regardless, we know that it is adding up the domino effect. As here, the floodgates are opening, the stars have aligned. More controversially, Neumeyer is of the opinion that the white metal will eventually become uncoupled from its sister metal gold. And that's insane that he says that, because I've always talked about that. I've always said for years on this channel that silver will take on a life of its own, regardless of what gold is doing. Silver is going to do what it does, because silver is used for things that gold isn't. Gold is used for necklaces, rings, earrings, watches, jewelry. So why in the world is the price or the ratio so directly correlated when they're used for two completely different things? Silver should actually be the one that's more valuable than gold, and as it was back in the day, actually. Silver is magical. They thought silver was magical because it can purify water. It's the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity, electricity, and light sensitivity. Right? Nothing performs like silver. Not even close. So why is silver only $22 when we see gold at over 2,000? When gold is something that kind of just sits around as jewelry and its value because it's shiny. Yes, there is some gold in technology, but most gold is used for jewelry, while in storage of investment, where silver is used for everyday applications that make the world go round, literally. And this should be seen as a strategic metal due to its necessity in everyday appliances, like I just said, from computers to electronics, as well as technologies mentioned above. He also stated that silver production has gone down in recent years, meaning that, contrary to popular belief, the metal is actually a rare commodity. What factors affect the price of silver? In order to glean a better understanding of the precious metal's chance of trading around $100, it's important to examine the elements that could push it to that level or pull it further away. The strength of the US dollar and the US Federal Reserve interest rate changes are factors that will continue to affect the precious metal, as are geopolitical issues and supply and demand dynamics. Although Neumeyer believes that the ties that bind silver to gold need to be broken, the reality is that most of the same factors that shape the price of gold also move silver. And for that reason, it's helpful to look at gold's price drivers when trying to understand silver's price action. Silver, of course, is the more volatile of the two precious metals, and that's because silver is such a smaller market, but nevertheless, it often trades in relative tandem with gold. Looking first at the Fed and interest rates, it's useful to understand that higher rates are generally negative for gold and silver, while lower rates tend to be positive. And that's because when rates are higher, interest rates shift to products that can accrue interest. When this pandemic hit, Fed cut rates down from 1 to 1.25%, and however, rising inflation has led Fed and other central banks to hike rates, which negatively impacted gold and silver. In February 2023, Fed raised rates by just 25 basis points, the smallest hike since March of 2022, as Federal Chairman Jerome Powell came out and said the process of disinflation has begun. The Fed has continued these small rate hikes, with the latest coming in May. And we saw banks starting to collapse. And it's funny that when the banks started collapsing, yes, they got bailed out, but just during that whole situation, that's when a lot of people turned to precious metals. They literally needed banks to start failing for them to say, okay, maybe I should take my money out of banks and put it into something that's more securable. It's insane that people have to wait for it to happen and not prepare before it. You want to be ahead of the curve. Don't jump in afterwards. Most people are going to invest into silver when it's past triple digits, when it's already exploded, just like Bitcoin. So, while central bank actions are important for gold and, by extension, silver, a key price driver lately has been geopolitical uncertainty. The past few years have been filled with major geopolitical events, such as tensions between U.S. and other countries such as North Korea, China, Iran. More recently, huge economic impact of the pandemic and Russia's war with Ukraine, major sources of concern for precious metals investors. So the Russian-Ukraine war is expected to weigh heavily on commodity markets, including precious metals, even after the conflict's end, with many expecting sanctions to remain. Speaking to the investing news network, INN, in March of 2022, not long after the conflict broke out, Lobo Tiger Founder of the editor of Speculator.com said he believes that these sanctions will lead to a new Iron Curtain, which will have lasting economic consequences on a global scale. It's not a small thing, and it's not going away. I mean, except for an unlikely scenario, which I'm glad he mentions that, because there are unknown variables that a lot of people don't incorporate. They try to throw out these price forecasts and these price predictions as if they know exactly what's going to happen. And yes, in a perfect world, if what they think is going to happen all falls in order that way, then they would probably be closed. But there's always a wrench thrown in, especially given the election coming up. I mean, there's unknown variables that will throw things off left field, and you have to incorporate those. And that's why anyone saying they know what's about to happen or know what the price is going to do is full of BS, and don't listen to them. So on a separate note, silver's close ties to gold and safe haven status should be beneficial in the long term, and there's also a strong cause to make for the metal's industrial potential. According to CIBC analysts in mid-2021, higher industrial demand for emerging sectors due to factors like the transition to renewable energy will be highly supportive for the metal over the next few years. Does historic price action support $100 silver? While not all silver market watchers anticipate $100 silver, and I know a lot of you guys don't. A lot of you guys think it's going to stay around $30, maybe $50 someday. But a lot of you guys aren't that bullish. You're investing into it as a hedge against inflation and putting it your quote unquote fake money into real money, but don't expect it to explode as some people are saying with these insane prices. Anyways, while not all market watchers anticipate triple-digit silver in the near future, there is support for Neumeyer's belief that the metal is undervalued and that ideal conditions are present for silver prices to rise. Many are on board with Neumeyer in the idea that silver's prospects are bright, including Peter Croth of Silver Stock Investor, who believes that we are very likely going to experience the greatest silver bull market of our generation. So if the silver price does rise, how high will it go? That's the $1,000,000 question. Look at silver's recent history. The highest price for silver was $15 or $50 in the late 1970s, and that was from the Hunt brothers, and then again in 2011. The commodities price uptick came on the back of a very strong silver interest demand. After spending the latter half of the 2010s in the teens, like I had the last 10 years, the average price of silver was $15. The 2020s have seen largely held above $20, and in August of 2020, the price of silver reached nearly $28.50 before pulling back again and moved up to those heights in February 2021. The price of silver saw a 2022 high point of $26.46 in February, past $26 again in May of 2023. So here's an interesting part. It's talking about what other experts think about $100 silver. So many experts in this space expect silver to perform strongly in the years to come, but don't necessarily see it reaching $100 or more, especially given the macroeconomic conditions. And I could actually disagree and say that the macro is what makes silver so bullish, looking past the day-to-day CPI, FOMC, type of BS, the day-to-day transactions of what is happening with the dollar index. I'm talking about the silver shortage on a longer term, how there already is a record-breaking supply deficit, and where is all this silver going to come from when we are in the year 2030, when every automobile company is going to be an EV. Where's that silver going to come from? How many billions of ounces will we need by the year 2025, 2030? Because we already can't even come up to 900 million ounces of production in the year 2021, 2022. So the macro, I think, looking backward or stepping backwards or stepping back is what's really going to show us why silver has so much potential. It's the macro, not the micro. But anyways, back in February 2022, David Morgan of the Morgan Report told INN he thought there was potential for silver to hit $50 an ounce in the short term, as high levels of stock market volatility could make the white metal more attractive to investors and might drive it up over the $30 mark. Once silver gets above $33 and stays there for 3 or 4 days, or better yet, even 2 or 3 weeks, there's not much holding back to $50 again. And that's because it would be holding that stability, and plus you have the psychological levels. From a longer term lens, Matt Watson, founder of Precious Metals Commodity Management, thinks that over the next decade, silver will benefit greatly from increased industrial demand from EV, solar photovoltaics, which are PV cells used in solar panels, electric industries, and that could be the pushing silver to $50, not just in the short term. I think that they are definitely downplaying it, as I would as well. You don't want to push people and overhype them up or mislead them and say that in 10 years silver could be $500, even though that is realistic to some extent. You don't want to say that. You don't want to go on record and say that. You have to be modest, because then people will take that as if it's fact and then run with that. And that is dangerous, right? Because this isn't an investment. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. This isn't even to make money. This is the money. Silver is what money is, right? So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Yeah, the end is kind of just talking about the same stuff. They like silver. It's talking about the industrial sector. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. We don't have enough time to cover this article, so I'll make another video covering this one, which is just as good, if not better. So make sure you subscribe and stay tuned. You don't want to miss this one, because this article is also a very, very, very important article to check out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe, as we're on the road to 100,000 subscribers, and I'm doing lots of giveaways coming up. If you wanted to buy silver, I recommend Miles Franklin. Send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Ask them what their inventory sheet is. They will match any other major retailer's price. I'm not talking about some eBay seller that's doing this individual. We're talking about major retailers. If you can find a price that beats Miles Franklin, they'll match it. And that's the coolest part about this, is I'm friends with Andy Scheckman, which is the CEO. So if something happened, or something were to happen, or if you have a question, just hit me up and I can put you in direct contact with him. So yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.